If you love cars like we do, and you look at cars all the time like we do, there's something very satisfying about sharing that with other people. And Flipping Bangers, the TV series, has been so popular. There's been a lot of people asking us for more stuff.
More stuff is coming, but we are waiting to see what the news is going to be on season 4. So we thought we'd do a podcast in the meantime so that people can see what we're actually up to.
Everyone likes a podcast, don't they?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Well, certainly people say they do.
Well, it's a good thing because we get to see more cars and we get to go and look at other people's cars. It doesn't really matter if they're for sale. Sometimes it's enough just to look over it and say, you know, this might be a car that we'd like to do in the future.
Yeah, I get it. So we'll go through the process. We look at the car, what it stands for, what we know about those cars, how it presents.
And conclude with giving it the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Would we buy this car to flip?
I got it. And that sounds like something that I'd listen to.
Yeah, me too.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We're doing another podcast.
Aha.
It's quite a busy yard, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of reversing, butt alarms going on, somebody running around in a green forklift truck, so we'll be indoors in a minute.
Yeah,
won't
come on,
we?
let's go in here. It's my turn to show a car today, and I found something which I've always loved. I don't really know a great deal about, but I've always loved, and they're actually quite rare. So when the chance to have a look at it came up, I grabbed it with both hands. It's
and I'm sort of hanging off the edge of this
here.
because Gus is keeping this one a highly guarded secret from me, and I'm trying to work out what it is from what he said so far, and so far I'm none the wiser. We are now walking into a storage facility, which is all lined in plastic on the ceiling, and there's tons of stuff in it, and cars, and
there it is.
Something under a cover.
Well, there it is. That's it under a cover. I think I would say, if I didn't know what it was, that I would struggle with that, I have to say.
Right, OK, well, I'm walking round to the front offside quarter so I can get a better idea. It's got a long bonnet. It's a shooting brake.
It is a shooting brake.
It does look like it's got some curves to it. So I would say, you know, it's got to be a historic car with the way the front grille seems to be bulging out a lot further than the lights. It's got a almost...
That's a giveaway.
Yeah,
really
sort of say, bit of a 1960s look to it under that cover with that grille sticking out so far. Round headlights, can I touch it?
Oh, let's take it off. Shall I take it off?
Okay, go on there. Just the front, see if I can get it.
Ah, come on, there you go.
Oh, yes. Well, there's no problem guessing what that is.
No.
Now, this reminds me of, for every good reason, Roger Moore.
Of course.
In The Saints.
Of course.
In his Volvo. It's a P1800.
But this is the shooting brake, the ES.
The shooting brake. It is the shooting brake.
And they only made these for the last couple of years of production, the ES. There's not many of them about, which is why I thought it was so interesting, because although I've always loved them, because I sort of loved the Saint when I was a kid.
Well, yeah, sorry, me too.
But I always really liked the shooting brake, because it's just such a weird shape, isn't it?
Well, I don't, it's not... For me, it's not about the shape. I like the shape, but I think for me, it's function. I like a car that's practical.
Yeah.
You know, I drive around in vans, Land Rovers, and big things that I can put all my clobber in the back of.
Yep.
So a shooting brake appeals to me, and it may not be the best looking car, though this one does look good.
I think they've done a fabulous job with it.
Shooting brakes in general.
This has got we're round the back now, and it's got this rather
innovative.
Yes. Glass door on the back. It's.
You remember that 3-4? Was it a 340 we did? The ones that look like a sliced off wedge of cheese.
Yes,
they've got the similar thing continuing in their design on those.
But it was a real thing at the time to have that, wasn't it?
Yeah, just single piece glass back end.
If you look at the back, it's got chrome capping along the top of the wing that comes all the way back from the door handle, all the way back down into the back lights. Like, they're sort of mini fins, aren't they? The way the chrome sticks out.
They are like little wings, long wings.
Yeah.
I think the styling detail, there's two main styling details that really strike me about this car whenever I see one. And of course, that lovely little smiley grille, slightly cheeky looking smiley grille at the front.
Yeah.
Is quite pronounced. It's very forward. Very much forward of the headlights, so it really sort of sticks out, highly pronounced, let's put it like that. there's that detail that always gets me, the happy face. But I think the biggest one is, you know, when you stand on just the offside of the front of the side of the car, and you look at the body of the car is incredibly wide.
Yeah.
And then the tumble home, where it comes in to the bottom of the windows, well, the cab of the car is a lot narrower.
Yeah, yeah.
Which gives it more room for those wings at the back that you were just talking about.
Yeah, definitely. And it narrows towards the back, doesn't it?
It makes it look sleek and fast.
The other thing, the sort of sculptured line of the door.
Oh, that scallop.
The scallop there, but without even knowing what it looks like. The exhaust pipe. Can you picture what the exhaust pipe?
I can, yeah.
The twin pipes coming out.
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
It's the thing, isn't it?
I say yes because I know I've just been round the back of the car and spotted that. I thought, oh yes, that is very much P 1800.
Yeah,
But it was worth saying at this point that it's in a sort of off-white colour.
Yeah.
But heavily laden in dust. I mean, this looks like a proper barn find.
I know a bit about the history of this car only because I was talking to the owner of it. It's been a very loved, very well used within the family.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
What I can remember, what I do know, is there's some chap, right? He had one of these, like, from new.
Oh, yeah.
And he did, like, 3.25 million miles in it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
This engine, I mean, I'm assuming this is that engine, the B1800, four-cylinder Volvo engine. I had one in a 144, and the major thing that I remember about it was how much oil fell out of it. The main seal at the back was a hemp seal. You know, they used to put hemp seals in.
Seal.
Yeah. So it leaked like a sieve. I used to have to put a little cup underneath it to catch the oil. It was ridiculous.
When you were parked or continually?
No, when I was driving.
So you could pour it back in?
I really wanted to sort it out, so I took it apart and put a new seal in it.
Okay.
And put it all back in.
Was that a difficult job?
No, it wasn't particularly difficult.
Just that it's between the engine and the gearbox, there's a lot of work.
Yeah. But it never really cured it. But the fact that one of these has done 3 and a bit million miles is a little bit mad, isn't it? Was there any maintenance involved, or is that continual, do you think? Do you think it's been apart and he's put shells in it, been apart, reboard it? It's difficult to know, isn't it?
For a moment that it did all of that without some major rebuild somewhere along the line.
I can't imagine it either. It's a great looking thing, isn't it? And I think that the reason that I wanted us to have a look at it is because it's so peculiar. When you're looking at it now, it's a bit weird looking.
I just remember something else as well. Wasn't there a bit of a thing about the designer of this car, an Italian company being slightly involved, or Italian person, a bit of Italian designing got in there? Italian design.
I always thought this was designed by Volvo. I don't know. Was it?
Well, okay, so I'm probably not going to be 100% on this, but I think the person who designed for Volvo at the time was given the job of designing this, but didn't actually get to do the job because his son, who was being coached by an Italian designer, actually ended up designing the car.
I don't know. about that.
And then there was some kerfuffle about who actually designed it and whether it was the father or the son. I can't remember what the outcome was, but there was something weird about how the design of this car came about. Oh, we can look it up on the Googler, but, you know.
But it is a strange design when you think the front end of this came out in the early 60s, isn't it? Well, the back end came in the 70s.
Yeah, it's definitely got that 60s look. At the front is very 60s. But I say, you know, this sort of wing-type finial arrangement that runs down the rear top of the rear quarter panel that you were talking about a minute ago.
It could be construed as being awkward, but in actual fact, it looks great, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I'd still club that into the 60s sort of thought of design.
Yeah, it's got a bit of the American about it, hasn't it? A bit of the Americana about it.
You know, like things like Hillman Superminxes.
Yeah.
You know, wraparound glass and wings on the back.
Yeah, it's sort of a nod to the grand design of the Americans, isn't it?
Yeah, and still quite heavy on the chrome as well.
Yeah. The earlier ones had a really lovely sort of cow horn bumper that came down from the grille and then went round.
Ooh. That sounds like a moustache.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kneeling in front of the car. Okay, now, try not to imagine that you want to customise this car or remove bits from it to make it look prettier, but but do for a moment. Take that bumper off.
Yeah, it's a lot of bumper, isn't it?
Doesn't it look good?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It really does, yeah, with a little half, half bumper on there.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that's an American legislation thing, the fact that that bumper's so far out?
Well, it's a great big bumper.
It really is, when you start studying it.
And the way the body panels behind the bumper, it's almost like, oh, well, let's think about the bumper later, and let's just make the body panels completely flow and finish under the front of the car,
well, it's very
rather than behind a bumper.
Very 60s racer type thing, isn't it? Having it the bodywork curve round under the grille like that.
Yeah. And it would look quite high at the front as well without the bumper.
Yeah, it's got a very purposeful front end.
I would suggest, for me, that the car would probably look better without the bumper.
I would say so, definitely.
But that's not what we're here to...
No, it's not.
...work out, is it? We're not here to work out whether it should be customised or not.
I've always loved the fact that these have got steel wheels as standard. Is
that all the way through the range, do you reckon?
I think it was, yeah. I think it was. Certainly was with the ESs, I think.
That's a good-looking wheel.
Yeah, with a chrome attachment on the outside to go round the rim of the wheel.
And the pressing in the centre has actually got sort of slightly... They're more square than round holes with a raised edge.
Yeah. It's one of those wheels. I know I've got this thing about wheels, and I can recall wheels from certain cars. But it's one of those wheels, for me.
That's the sort of thing. That's up your Strasser, is it?
Yeah. Very, very much so. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a nice-looking wheel for the car, and it works really well. Moving towards the back of the car, this very, very, very long piece of glass in the shoot and brake section.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of glass there.
I would say that was classic shooting brake, wasn't it? That having that long piece of glass in there.
Yeah. And a very, very, very skinny, delicate B-pillar in the glass part of the car. Inch and a quarter wide strip of chrome down there, so not very much. They've kept it looking light.
It's funny, isn't it? When you look at it as a whole, it looks cohesive, doesn't it, the design? But when you look at it in bits and bits and bits, it's slightly awkward, isn't it? When I was a kid, this was elegance. This was, this was a fast estate car, effectively.
And when we were kids, the Saint was still on TV, razzing around in one of these.
Yeah.
In a whiter white than that, but,
Yeah, well, you say that, but it might be the same colour.
He had the coupe, didn't he?
Yeah.
It must have been that colour.
Yeah. I mean, I would call this an old English white. I don't know.
Yeah, I would too.
This is a very honest car, I would say. So we haven't said what year this is. So this is L-Reg. Well, I think that's 72, isn't it? L-Reg. 71? 73, is it? JKL. Oh, yeah, of course it is. I'm going the wrong way. 73. Yeah. So this was right at the end, 73. Probably the last year of manufacture, I think. So there wasn't much after this. It looks like a very honest car. The paint's got some issues, which I think are just the sort of issues that you would say would come from a car that's been around all that time and never done up, probably.
Yeah, never done up, but you can see this area.
Wheels on the near side front, and
just gesticulating to quite a large area.
Yeah, quite a large
which
area.
Looks like, to me, it's got a ton of filler in it.
It does look like it's got a fair amount. There's a lot of cracking going.
Yeah,
a lot of cracking going.
So it's where the headlights and the indicators are, between the headlights and the grille.
Yeah.
And then across the top of the wing, and it looks like the whole of the front of this wing has been stoved in. Well, I'm putting my hand into Spider Zone.
Oh yeah, you don't like that.
And I'm going to see how it feels. I
can see it underneath.
Gus. Thankfully, I can't feel any spiders running around, but I can feel that filler on the top of this wing, and that's a good quarter of an inch, if not more,
it's a right
thick.
Proper bit of filler. They've done a nice job of contouring it in, haven't they?
That's continuing.
Is it really?
All the way back. I'm running along, feeling the thickness of the filler.
This is the top edge of the wing on the near side.
With one hand under the wing and one hand on top, and I can feel that my fingers are a good quarter of an inch apart, and I'm now back above the wheel.
That's either a very, very, very fine piece of Scandinavian steel, or it's
it's thinning out there. On the arch, it's correct. Top of the wing, round there, slabs of filler.
It's had a bit of trauma, hasn't it? One of the design features of this car is that it is seamless. You cannot see where a wing has been bolted or welded on. So the whole front of the car.
Very good point.
It's just the way it is, isn't it? So where do you take it off? I assume you have to.
If you were going to change that front wing, well, you'd hope there was going to be a seam somewhere between the grille and the headlights.
But then you'd hope there'd be one across the scuttle, and there isn't, is there?
Shall we lift up the bonnet?
Yeah, let's have a look. I tell you what. Before we lift up the bonnet, shall we have a commercial break before we lift the bonnet up?
Yes.
Let's do that. Let's have a commercial break, and then we'll get back to under the bonnet. I want to see how they updated this engine, how this engine has come on.
So if you run a company that supplies car body filler
or cutting equipment,
yes, and you'd like to advertise on our podcast, this would be the gap that you would fill.
This is your time. Right, we're back. We're back with our P1800 ES, which is a shooting brake Volvo P1800, the sporty shooting brakey.
Yeah, everyday car in a lovely sort of shade of off-white, old English off-white sort of colour.
And we're going to have a look under the bonnet, aren't we?
Yeah, having discovered that it's got a continent's worth of filler in the front wing, I'd like to look at.
Oh, look at that.
How difficult it would be to change a wing.
It's got the Morris Minor boot stop. Can I just point out with these windscreen wipers, because I think that it tells a story about this car. The windscreen wipers are not what you would expect. They're not a standard sort of British connection, are they? They are, I would say, Scandinavian, aren't they?
Yeah, that looks like a well-engineered setup to me.
Yeah, a well-engineered setup with a spoiler on the top to keep them at speed. Because of course, in your 1800 ES, you'd be at speed, wouldn't you?
Do you know what top speed of this car is?
Can I guess? 4-cylinder petrol-injected engine. And it's probably very heavy because it's actually quite crude.
And it's made by Volvo.
I would say its top speed would be 110.
118.
Oh, not far out, was I?
Not far
Just
out.
Just 8 out.
I think that comes under the heading as frighteningly fast in the early 1970s.
Yeah. Right, so we've opened the bonnet, and initially you look inside and it's beautifully painted. All the paintwork is, on my side, I'm on the driver's side, the paintwork is very good.
The condition is very good.
Very good indeed, yeah.
It's very clean. It was very originally clean.
Yeah, it's very original, isn't it? In actual fact, it's so original it looks like you could just
polish it.
Exactly that.
A bit of touching up here and there.
But even things like the clips and the catch for the bonnet, it's all very good, isn't it?
The battery terminals are still in excellent condition. I mean, this is a car that's, it's an old car. It's done some miles. Well, I presume it's done some miles. I don't know how many, but
we'll have a look in a minute.
We will. We'll see, because I mean, it does look like a very unmessed with low mileage car from in here.
I don't know the steering arrangement of these cars, but I can see the steering column going down through here, and there's a very large rubber donut connecting the latter half of the shaft to the bit that goes to the steering wheel. And I can't imagine that is particularly good for... Oh, okay, there's a steering box. I can see it.
A steering box rather than a rack.
Okay, so 118 miles an hour is sounding scarier to me.
Yeah, because there's quite a lot of links.
So we're in the engine bay, and I would say it's pretty nondescript, isn't it?
Fuel injection.
It's got fuel injection.
That's got to be pretty ahead of its time.
Yes, so
now,
therefore
this would have been
the
German one, wouldn't it? The Jetronic.
I honestly, I don't know. Is that what it is? Bosch.
Yeah.
Oh, so the same that was on the 2002s? Yes.
Quite lightly, yeah.
It is.
Quite
it
lightly.
Is. It's the same looking thing, yeah.
Do you know, it's always quite funny looking at the German word for almost anything.
Because it's so long.
Yeah.
And wonderfully descriptive.
It's a whole sentence wrapped up into one definitive word. This time, they are not following the same form as normal because the word's only that long.
Is it really?
Yeah, because I wrote it down, and even with my writing, it's not very long. And my writing looks like hieroglyphics at the best times. But it's Entspritzenzung.
Entspritzenzung. I wonder... I suppose because of what
Well,
it does. It
spritz
squirts
must be-
it in.
Yeah, and zoom, it goes.
It goes fast.
Oh, and
Don't
it's
touch.
not
That's
attached.
your job not to touch, and now I've done it.
Gus,
Okay.
don't look with your fingers, look with your eyes. That's clearly not attached.
It's interesting, though. It's interesting to see, isn't it? And it's been brilliant nick in here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very, very clean, very tidy. And I think you know, if you were looking for a car as a collector, to find one that looks original like that, yes, it's got a couple of little rust spots here and there.
Yeah.
But that's very desirable.
I'm looking at the wings again. So there is a sealed seam.
Oh, you found one. have you?
Yeah, under there. So
yeah.
so I'm looking at the scuttle where we were talking earlier about how you would change the wing on this, and I think it's probably quite a job, which is why it was repaired rather than replaced.
Enthusiastically repaired. You know, if where this wing is damaged at the front, if it's just been crumpled up really, really badly and had loads of filler put in it, then it's going to be a very interesting exercise with some panel beating equipment and just seeing if you can rip all the filler out and then spend a day or two gently tapping it back into shape without saying, "For a moment, Dad, I thought I had it." Like in that famous Irish TV comedy show.
No, they are a thing. They're beautiful. Should we have a sit inside?
Yes, and the nice thing is, where we are in this storage facility, there's enough room to get all the way around the car and into both sides. So,
do you want to get in the driver's side?
Do I want to get in the driver's side?
You get in the driver's side.
Well, of course I do.
I sat in it when I came down.
And if you don't believe me, watch this.
Right, be careful not to hit anything. Oh, it doesn't hit
yeah.
anything. Oh,
Right.
beautiful coloured.
I'm just adjusting the seat before I jump into my turquoise leather dream.
Wow, you say turquoise. I am a bit colourblind, but I would say that was a sort of light blue. Oh, we might say
Isn't that kind of
dark
like the ethos of turquoise?
Oh, that's slightly disappointing. It's got a very plastic dash, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Very plastic
Very
dash.
shapely.
Very shapely.
Incredibly shapely dash.
Plastic, yeah, that is definitely plastic, isn't it?
Oh, I love this. Look at the rev counter. The rev counter actually reads in thousands. It says 1,000, like 1000, and then 2000. It's got the full number on there, rather than you having to work it out for yourself.
And just so you get the picture, they are Smith's gauges, aren't they? They're classic Smith's gauges with a sort of Scandinavian bent, aren't they? They're slightly bespoke. They're not the sort of thing you'd find in your Jag or your MG.
No,
like you say, they've got
the font gives them a you know, far-flung appeal. So, right, okay. What do you reckon the mileage could be?
I don't know. What does it say?
I'll just tell you, shall I? 58,000.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
I would say that's by the condition under the bonnet and that. I would say that's about right.
Very correct. Yeah. And you know, so I think Volvo always had this thing where, you know, if you buy a car in this period of this sort of vintage, in the period where this was new, you should be expecting to own it for 20 years.
Yeah, but they do that thing, don't they, where so in the summer, I mean, this was years ago now, I'd drive up through Norway and everyone would be driving around in 240s. But in the winter, they'd have 144s, and the 144s were their winter car, which was the car before they had the 244s. So they would keep
drive around in their old knacker. So if they wrapped it up in the winter snow.
Exactly that.
And, well, I don't think they put that much salt on their roads up there, because it doesn't work below -6.
No.
Yeah.
No, but that was definitely a thing.
Yeah. So
but can I just say that? So I'm in the passenger side, and it's lovely. It's vinyl, but it's a light blue sort of vinyl. It looks great. The seats look great. I think the seats are leather.
Might be leather.
They are leather.
They do
the seats are leather. The door cards are vinyl.
Definitely vinyl.
But I've got a, and this is testimony to the 118 miles an hour. I've got a handle here for my left hand to brace myself.
Yeah,
it's a bracing handle.
Yeah. You're going to need that. I feel quite frightened in a car of this age doing 118 miles an hour. It's like it's quite frightening stationary. But I've closed the door. We can give it the door test.
That's huge, isn't it?
We're doing
That is-
118 now, and
That
I am
is huge.
securely within this car.
You're not getting out of it.
No, not
Whatever
in a
happens,
hurry,
you're not
no.
getting out of it.
It's got Volvo written on it. It should be built like a,
Well, it is,
like
isn't
a
it?
soft tank. Oh, that's very vinyl, that headlining,
Yeah, it's
isn't
very
it?
vinyl headlining, very smooth.
very smooth.
Very neat.
That's quite a design thing, isn't it? I've never seen a headlining like that in
I haven't
anything
ever.
else.
No, never. So
No.
it's a smooth vinyl. It's got stitching detail on a couple of ribs across it, but it's very neat, and it's got this beautiful cast aluminium, I'm assuming, and then painted rear view mirror, which it's because it's Scandinavian and because they had their own industries, like everything else, like the windscreen wipers, like the way they've done the servo for the brake. It's very Scandinavian, isn't it? You know, I like it. Oh, look at these. This is choke down here, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Choke and a hand throttle, I would imagine.
Oh, no, no seatbelts. It looks like, you know, in the old Fiats, like the 126, and the two little levers down on the transmission tunnel. But
Porsche's had them.
It's the seatbelt. Oh, you could easily catch on that and undo your seatbelt by accident, couldn't you?
I would have thought so. So the seatbelt retainer where the buckle goes into is on the tunnel, on the transmission tunnel, and it's got a two red levers, one either side, a lever that you pull up to release the buckle. But it's an interesting design again, you know.
I thought that was a funny throttle pedal, but it's just some sort of weird lever. I wonder what that is.
It's for locking the bonnet.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's the lever that locks that bar that goes... So the bonnet is retained on two clips, one either side, and there's a bar that goes between the two, and it's sort of over centre, isn't it?
Well, it's right near my throttle pedal.
Yeah,
you know, if you lift off the throttle too quickly, it's going to pop the bonnet.
It's not locked, I don't think. That's it, there it's locked. It's good noise.
That explains it. Ginormous steering wheel with 3 spokes in it, and on the end of each spoke there's an individual button. There's 3 buttons for the horn, which I can see all linked together. Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting thinking in this car, isn't there?
I think the thing for me when I get in this car, the colour is amazing.
Yeah,
it's
sort of blue.
It's like a baby blue. I did think turquoise, but now I'm in it, it's totally not turquoise, is it? You're right. Even with your colour blindness that you suffer from a little bit. Well, maybe not suffer from, but Anyway.
Yeah.
It's like a round all blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a space age looking dash.
Yeah, it is, and it's got your sort of classic. Toggle switches, and so this is 73, isn't it? So it's got a fastened seatbelt, flashing light. So I'm assuming if your seatbelt's not plugged in, that's going to flash.
It's going to go bong, 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 like all... Well, people find it very annoying in Volvos, but, I think it's the time when they're trying to educate people. It's like, wear your seatbelt.
Well, I think
it's for your own good.
But I think that's probably quite
Come on,
advanced,
people.
isn't it? It's got the obligatory ashtray in there.
Full of fag ends.
Yeah, lovely in here.
Yeah, it's very, very nice, isn't it?
Yeah, very nice. And completely original and unmolested and in very good condition. Whether you like it or you don't like it, it's in very good condition, isn't it? I mean,
much as I don't like what looks like Formica in the dashboard, you know what? The outside of this car is so appealing. I could forgive it a couple of things.
Right, well, we're getting out. It's beautiful in here, absolutely beautiful. The conclusion is that the originality on the inside of this car is exceptional.
Well, that's just perfect, and in lovely 58,000 mile condition.
Gosh, should we go underneath it?
Yeah.
Shall we have a look underneath?
Yeah, maybe after a little ad break.
Okay, let's have an ad break here, and then we'll come back and we'll have a look underneath.
I'm really keen to see what it looks like underneath.
Yeah.
Because I can't say I've always looked at these cars and wanted one because you hardly ever see them.
No.
But I've looked at them and thought, they're interesting cars. I want to see what that axle looks like. I want to see what the front suspension looks like.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Right, we're back with our P1800 ES. We're just going to try and get it up in the air so we can have a look underneath it. Will is in charge of jacking.
I thought we'd go for the front end.
Okay, well,
do you know one of the main reasons? I just had a quick look underneath to see where I could put the jack.
There's a massive great cross member there,
Oh, my God, this thing's built like a tank.
It really is built. It's substantial, isn't it? Really substantial.
Positioning it underneath this incredibly big front clip frame.
Wow, look at the suspension. There's a twin width, so there's a wishbone at the top and a wishbone at the bottom. with a strut and a coil spring. But it's like you say, it's all massive. It's like a tractor, isn't it?
It's huge. I mean, look at the size of those components. The wishbones look like they could deal with a car that's twice the size.
They really do.
Right, it's quite heavy as well.
Do you know what?
Would you like a nice soft mat to lie on?
Do you know? No, I'm all right.
You're all right?
Do you know what this reminds me of? Is an American car at this age.
You know, when I was talking about this bit, I've just put the jack underneath. I called it a front clip. And that's because it looks like an American car arrangement.
Yeah.
We've got twin pipes going to the calipers, twin flexibles, and then twin steel pipes going to the calipers on either side.
Well, that's interesting,
So that's
isn't it?
quite a substantial braking system.
And I'm looking at the linkage for the steering system as well, and there's a lot of linkage, isn't it?
It's a lot of linkage, but it's good,
4,
sturdy
5,
setup.
6.
But a lot of joints.
Yeah. I think the overriding thing for me for under here is that it's all so big, so
strong, so Volvo.
Well, I guess. I guess.
Because we all know Volvos. We think about Volvos and go, oh yeah, built like brick privies. But all the later ones, it was, you know, all looked like this, but they were specially designed in crumple zones.
Yes, yeah.
Because they're big, long cars, and there was a lot of squish in them to save you, the occupant, when you hit one of those Swedish trees which lurk alongside pretty much every single road.
Or a moose.
Or a moose, yeah, which they're not very forgiving either. But I think this is pre-crumple zone, because that front chassis leg looks sturdy.
It's very sturdy, isn't it? It's very sturdy. I'm just creeping around. I'm on the driver's side.
It's funny, isn't it?
Creeping round.
I suppose, really, you know, you look at the car from above.
And it's delicate.
It's delicate.
I was thinking exactly the same thing, yeah.
And down here, it's like, right, okay.
Mammoth.
Let's get strong engineering in, and we are Volvo, so let's do it well.
Yeah. The metal itself is still very sound. And I'm looking at the chassis on the underneath the seats, and on my side, on the driver's side, it looks sound, definitely.
Well, I'm looking at the amount of rust on this side in a similar sort of way.
Yeah.
So the chassis is very, very good.
Yeah, I think
the rot, which somebody sort of kind of quite badly repaired with strips of steel, is along the bottom of the sills.
Oh yeah. Now I poke my head right in and look back to the inside of the seal. You can see that.
You can see there's
been
trouble there.
There is trouble there. Yeah.
So it needs the sills.
Yeah.
Removing, replacing, repairing, fixing, sorting out properly.
Yeah.
But it is, you don't have to go into the chassis. There's some cleaning up to do on the chassis, but there's not any welding to do on the actual chassis itself.
No, but I think exactly that. If you cleaned it up and repainted and resealed.
I mean, of course, the sills are very much part of the, the monocoque chassis of the car.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, they're structural, aren't they? Very structural.
Yeah, this is not a chassis with a body on top. This is all integral monocoque construction.
Yeah.
It's worth pointing out at this stage that axle pinion oil seal is leaking.
It is leaking.
And I'd say, it's been sat for a long time, and it looks like it's leaking quite a lot. So that's a definite list on the list for needing changing before you do too many miles.
Yeah. It's an interesting prospect, this car, isn't it? Because it's brilliant, and yet it's got substantial amounts of work that need doing to it, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. When you go across the whole car from end to end, so we've got, there's a good few weeks worth of work on the sills, possible inner sills, the joining to the floor pan. That's got to be done really nicely. The car warrants a proper restorative repair.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just patch it up and smoke around in it, would you?
I don't think you would, no.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be sad to do that, wouldn't it? Because that would be sort of the demise.
Well, that'd be a pity. I mean, a bit of patina's lovely, but, structural stuff is quite important.
Yeah.
I would assume that all of the brakes need more than just a little service. It looks like somebody's either reversed the car onto a...
Oh, yeah.
well, I don't know. There's a ginormous dent in the petrol tank on this side.
Yeah.
In fact, there's two.
It's not leaking, though. Mind you, might not be any gas in it.
No, I don't know if that's a reversing-based issue, a jacking-based issue, or a landing after the humpback bridge issue.
Interesting to know what price these were when they were new. I've not looked. Maybe we should look that up.
Maybe we should look that up, yeah. How are we going to weigh this car up?
If this was offered to us, I suppose the game is, if this was offered to us, would we take it? The answer's got to be no, hasn't it?
Or I suppose the other way of looking at it
How much
is...
you could get it for?
Yeah.
See, to me, this would be, if you wanted it as your own thing, and we both said the same thing, we both would love it because we've liked them.
Shall we look at it from that point of view?
I think we should, yeah.
Yeah, rather than a financial, can we flip it? Would this be worth buying and owning and running as your own personal classic?
Yeah, your own Swedish sports car.
The answer to me is a very obvious yes.
Me too. Yeah, I would definitely have it.
Because it's beautiful. Yeah. And what have we found in the way of work? Well, there's a lot of things...
a lot of body work, isn't there?
There's a lot of things that are going to keep you busy as an enthusiast.
Yeah.
A skilled enthusiast. We know that the interior looks spot on.
Yeah, the interior is great, isn't it?
The chrome work, pretty good. The rest of the car, bar that front wing, pretty good.
Well, apart from the front wing and the little patch down there behind the door, on both sides, actually. Well, my criteria would always be whether you could keep this as a rolling restoration, because that's the important thing, isn't it?
Okay.
To keep something driving and you're interested in it, rather than parking it up and doing it.
Yeah, okay.
And I think the bodywork stuff is big, isn't it? It's off the road when you're doing that.
Yeah, that's it. That's a curveball you're throwing at me.
Yeah.
Rolling restoration, where you've got, there's a good few weeks worth of bodywork work to do on this car.
Yeah.
A good few weeks.
I know that if I bought this with it in mind to do that, I would never have the time to do it. There would always be something else to do.
So if you started doing it, it would never get finished.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I do. Sadly, that's how I feel.
Yeah, okay. So rolling restoration for the likes of... I think I'm a bit the same as you, so I'm going to put me into that category as well.
Yeah. So does that knock it on the head then? Does that mean you wouldn't take this?
I think it knocks it on the head for it being a rolling restoration for myself and yourself.
Yeah.
To somebody else, a month off the road, and really, take a month off work in the summer.
Yeah.
Really hit it hard.
Yeah.
Go for it and do a really nice job, and then you're back on the road before the end of the summer with your tow hitch.
With your tow hitch.
And you can take your...
That would not be on when I'd finished.
You can take your caravan down to Bream for the weekend and hang around with all the Brummies down there. You'll have a great time. But this car's got the chance of being really valuable.
Yeah, really valuable.
They're really rare.
Yeah.
So...
It's a different prospect, isn't it? It's a different deal.
I think really it's worth doing if you've got the time and the money to invest in it.
It's definitely worth doing because you're going to be able to get this for a reasonable sum.
Okay, let's just try and put some prices on it, though, because I would assume that this car has got to be in the sort of $7,000 to $8,000 price bracket as it stands today.
I think you are exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. So...
and if it was very good...
And if it was very, very, very good...
It would be in the 20s, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's not a massive hike up, is it? So
really.
So if you look at it from a financial point of view, certainly if you were paying somebody else to do it, it would cost you more than it's worth, but then sometimes who cares?
It doesn't really matter what it's worth at the end. It's not a commodity, it's a car.
No.
That you wanted.
So, conclusion, you'd still buy it, wouldn't you?
I'd definitely have it, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Perfect. And there we are.
Heart speaks before the brain.
Exactly that every time. So thank you for listening. We're going to call it a day there. We're going to be back next week with another car.
Yeah, something interesting. I think...
Something interesting
is
you're going to show me.
It's my turn.
It's your turn.
Oh, I get to choose. Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, what can I do?
OK.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
The Flipping Bangers podcast features Gus Gregory and Will Trickett. It's produced by Dan Allum and is a Just Mike TV production. International copyright is asserted. No opinions in the show are personally held. Audio engineering is by Stephen O'Toole, and we've used a sample composed by Lakey Inspired. If you'd like to get in touch, please visit justmight.tv or chat to us via Instagram at Flipping Bangers. Thanks for listening.